organized. 5 banners. Okay.
Good night. Right. Welcome, everybody, to the Dynasty 365 show. We are here tonight, as always, with Bill, Mustafa, and Tyler Heil, who just happens to be the man that our special guest tonight's wife has a hall pass for. That would be Mr. Mike Bauer from Dynasty Rewind. Very excited to have him here. We are going to be talking tonight about the best and worst landing spots for all of your favorite rookies from this year's draft. Hello, everybody. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel over on YouTube, and head on over to fantasyandframes.com for more awesome fantasy football advice from all of us here at Fantasy and Frames. As promised, tonight we have got the lovely and talented Mike Bauer. Welcome to the show. He is the host of Dynasty Rewind podcast, which you can find on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Mike, how's it going?
It is going. The draft is over. Thank God we have landing spots now. It's a long build up. You kind of get prospect fatigue, and then when they finally have landing spots, you love, you hate. You guys know how it goes. So just happy that these guys have homes. And excited to keep mocking and doing everything that we do over the Dynasty Rewind. But how you guys been? It's been a little bit since I've been on.
It has. It's been a minute. Tyler, what's up? How's your week going?
It was going good until we had our faithful producer Gator jump in and run the board when I usually do it and catch me off guard. So I'm gonna have to cut some stuff.
Play a little something for Gator real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's for Gator right there. Good job, buddy.
Gator don't play no shit.
That's amazing. Bill, what? Oh, did we lose Bill? I think we lost Bill, but he's coming back in. There he is. Bill, what is up? How's it going?
It was going great until my internet decided to start doing my Sweden. So you might just have to bear with me today.
That's okay. We can do that. We'll make an exception for you. Guys, so speaking of the draft, here's what I'm going to do. I want to get some warm and fuzzies out of the way from the draft. What are your favorite draft moments? Mike, you go first.
All right, let me bring my show sheet back up. So for me, the whole Rewind crew, we got to get, as many people that can make it. We went to my lead analyst Nate's house in Maryland, and Bob, who does a lot of our producing and stuff like that and content planning. He's a big Packers fan. So he freaked out over the Tucker Kraft pick. Tucker Kraft was one of our consensus across the board lowest graded prospects throughout this whole grading process. And he hated the pick. And then if I'm correct, I believe Josh Downs went the pick right after, and he's a huge Josh Downs fan. So watching him freak out. And then, so I'm a Penn State fan, admittedly, and I hate Sean Clifford. So when Penn State quarterback Sean Clifford got drafted to the Packers in the 5th round, hearing him freak out in the other room was just absolutely fantastic. So that was kind of my favorite draft moment, but just being with my whole crew, getting to spend 4 days together. I will say the house did kind of smell like dude at the end of those 4 days. So I was happy to get home to my girls. I think they're watching Cora go to sleep. But it was a great draft. I'm glad it's over though, because I'm ready to keep moving. We're already planning for 2024. So no days like Dynasty Rewind.
Oh, 2024. That seems so far away. I can't even think
away.
Oh, Tyler, what was your favorite draft moment?
So last year when we did our live stream, I actually freaked out and I'm not a Titans fan at all. I freaked out when the Titans dealt AJ Brown to the Eagles because Mike, I wasn't like upset that he went to the Eagles. I was like upset that the Titans thought they should trade him. Just thought it was a dumb move, but I wasn't the one.
Part of the two is then Treylon Burks got this whole thing put on him like he's the direct AJ Brown replacement. It's really not fair to do to a rookie like that. I mean, Treylon Burks, similar skill set, but still really not fair to put that on a rookie.
Yeah.
It's not. But my favorite moment was Keith subbing in for me when our local Falcons fan who absolutely lost his mind when they took Bijan Robinson at 8.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there when he did that, and it was magical. And if you guys haven't seen it yet, it is definitely up on our social media. So make sure you go check that out. Bill, favorite moment from the draft?
My favorite moment from the draft was watching Will Levis's villain origin story start in front of our eyes. You know, just any time there was a pick, it went straight to Will Levis. Like, oh, there was a pick, but it wasn't you. And it had absolutely nothing to do with seeing his smoke show of a girlfriend 26 times.
Wait, which one was
Nothing
his
to do with that.
girlfriend?
The curling hair girl.
Yeah,
The hot Sicilian girl with curly hair.
yeah. The one like that kept making faces. I gotta tell you, as sad as that was to keep seeing him, it was just kind of sad to me. But the memes that came out of that were just absolutely phenomenal.
Yo, he got Johnny Manziel at that draft. Oh no, Johnny Manziel. I'm sorry, Brady Quinn. He got Brady Quinn at that draft. If you remember, I mean, I'm showing my age here. I think it was like 2007. Brady Quinn came out. And this just shows like, I feel like after that, the NFL was like, if we bring these guys in, someone's got to pick them. And it was like that for a while, like Johnny Manziel getting drafted. Well, Johnny Manziel should have never been drafted, but I think the NFL's finally gotten back to, we need to do what's best for our franchise. Stop doing the green room thing. Nobody cares. I don't care who Roger Goodell bro hugs on the stand. I don't care. Just move on with the draft, okay? Keep it rolling.
I do think it's funny when they pick him up, though. Like, nothing. That kind of amuses me.
I'd be like, please don't.
It's like the mega boss in your profession, and you just like go up to him and just hug him and pick him up. Like, no one would ever do that in real life.
Yeah, for real.
So my favorite moment, other than all the Will Levis memes, I just told on what I was going to talk about. Deuce Vaughn and his dad, was that not? I mean, was it like cutting onions for y'all? Because it was for me. Like, it was just so heartwarming and pleasant. And
Yes.
no, you just have a like stone heart. You don't care.
I'm an Eagles fan, so I don't want the Dallas Cowboys to ever have any success ever. And the Dallas Cowboys having a tender moment, I really don't care. Sorry, I'm just being realistic. And they look like they're drafting from the Death Star. Like, what's going on in Dallas, man? Like, seriously, how can you like the Dallas Cowboys?
I mean, if anybody would have a Death Star, it would be the Dallas Cowboys.
That's what I'm saying, right? And he would charge $80,000 for you to get in because Jerry.
Oh, totally, 100%. Do you guys think that Deuce Vaughn would have been drafted if his dad didn't work for the Cowboys?
Absolutely not.
I think so.
Yeah.
Not to Dallas.
I don't know. I mean,
he's going to go to Dallas.
He's a talented player. It was, they talked about specifically through the entire draft process when they spoke about Deuce Vaughn, his dad had to leave the room.
That's true.
Like they did their best to keep it.
Yeah, because it was like a birthday surprise. Like, you go out. We're going to take his son. It's all going to be fun. Yay! It's going to be a surprise. Or someone get the party poppers. There was no way he was going to Dallas unless his dad was there. There's nothing wrong with that.
My problem with Deuce Vaughn is I don't know what he's going to be at the next level. I mean, he's the smallest player ever measured at the NFL scouting combine, 5'5" and 179 pounds. I understand, people, they do the lazy comps, Boston Scott, Maurice Jones-Drew, all that stuff, because those guys, Darren Sproles, those guys are shorter, but those guys were all significantly more muscular than Deuce Vaughn was. And you're going to have to scheme him up. He can't be a primary ball carrier for you. He just can't. He's too small. He's not going to be able to take the rigors. So if somebody wants to overdraft Deuce Vaughn, I'm perfectly fine letting them do that. Let him take the hot ticket guy. I'm just going to go elsewhere. I'm going to just draft a guy that scores fantasy points and helps me win. That's what I'm going to do.
It's just like Arthur Smith. I'm just here to win. That's all. I'm just here to win games.
Let me know when you win something.
All right, guys. So make sure to drop your comments, questions into the chat. I already see the chat is blowing up. It looks like we have got Miss Bauer in the chat over here. She's definitely watching. I'm not sure if she's watching for Mike or for Tyler here, maybe for both.
Tyler. You know what's up. It's all right. I get it.
All right, guys. So our first topic that we're going to hit tonight, I've called it the dearly departed. So, a lot of players went to some really weird places that, maybe don't necessarily make sense or not necessarily what we would have wanted. So I want to talk about whose fantasy value has just plummeted. based on where they landed. And I'm going to need you guys to talk me off the ledge on Zach Charbonnet, because when this happened, I like lost it. Like, you guys know Zach Charbonnet has been my guy, and to see him go to Seattle, I like nearly had a freak out. So I picked Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker, and Kenny McIntosh actually all together, because I just really kind of think that, you know, they had so much potential, all three of those guys. And now that you've got them together on one team, I think it's a great football move for Seattle, but I hate what it does for us in fantasy. I just really think that it's kind of lowered expectations for all three of those guys. And I would have loved to see Charbonnet go somewhere where he would have had a little bit more opportunity, not somewhere where the team just literally drafted a rookie last year that now he's got to compete with. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know, Seattle loves to run the ball, so that's a plus in their favor there. And now they have great depth. So, I mean, maybe it works out for one of them. Kenneth Walker does have some injury history. Certainly not wishing that on him, but there's at least potential for Charbonnet. But I hate this spot for him. I think it's dropped him for me personally. I don't know that I would take him where I would have taken him if he had gone somewhere else with a little bit more opportunity. And I'm not really sure how they're going to use all three of those guys. So I don't know. I need somebody to talk me off the ledge. Mike, can you talk me off the ledge?
I have no ability to talk you off the
Oh, no.
Are
they on life support?
It's a terrible situation, really, for everybody involved. And what I hated even most about it was Pete Carroll saying, we want to open up the screen game. Well, you don't do that with Zach Charbonnet. You do that with Kenny McIntosh in, what was it, the 6th round, like you said?
Yep.
7th round.
Seventh. Yeah.
Even better. You don't do that with Zach Charbonnet, a guy who is less of a receiver than Kenneth Walker, whose lateral agility isn't there. To me, Zach Charbonnet profiles as a prototypical Seahawks running back, more of the Marshawn Lynch mold than Kenneth Walker is. But I think it was a bad pick. And, you know, this is one of those better for the Seahawks than your fantasy team move, unfortunately. And like I always tell people on my show, look, you have to adjust accordingly to what the NFL does, because they don't care what you think about the roster. They're there to win football games, and that's it.
That's right. Oh gosh, yeah.
Which I better news. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. And there might be, you know, this is one of those things too. There's going to be more clarity going into training camp and come the start of the season. It's May 3rd right now, so it's just a guessing game at this point, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was hoping for. Maybe as it gets a little bit further in, we'll know what their roles are going to be. Maybe that gives us a little bit better idea. And I think that's kind of like the best you can hope for at that point. And I am wearing black just to mourn Zach Charbonnet. But Bill, how do you feel about your boy Izzy? You feel okay with him going to the Jets?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Look, I mean, one, he sits behind Breece Hall, which I don't like. 2, it's the Jets. Like, unless your surname's Wilson, I'm not rostering you to play for the Jets. It's just how it works. So,
you're gonna take Zach? Is that what you're telling us right now?
Sorry?
Are you taking Zach Wilson? Is that what you're telling us right now?
Not that Wilson. No one's taking that Wilson. Apart from his mum's mates.
I can talk Bill off the ledge a bit on Izzy. I can do that. You know, it's unfortunate he did not get day 2 draft capital. It's even more unfortunate that he didn't get round 4 draft capital. He went in round 5. However, he's going to have a chance to earn a spot and earn work on that roster. Breece Hall is not going to start the season healthy. He's likely going to miss probably a month, maybe more. He's going to be competing with Michael Carter and Bam Knight. Yeah. You know, if he can't beat those two out, if he can't beat them out for that lead role for the first month of the season and carve himself out a role, then he was never going to.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. Right now, he's 4th on the depth chart. I think that could be one of those running back rooms where you might just end up staying away from until Breece Hall comes back and gives you some clarity. And, you know, a lot of times people ask me like this guy or this guy, and sometimes the right answer is none of the above, honestly. Yeah. So there might be times where it's good to pivot elsewhere. But, Bill, I will say this. That situation might not have clarity now, but I think next year, Izzy will probably be the guy behind Breece Hall. Michael Carter should be coming up on the end of his contract. Zonovan Knight was late round pick. He could be released easily. Israel Bonaconda, like our lead analyst says, is an athlete playing running back. getting there with some good coaching. Although Nathaniel Hackett, I don't know how good of a coach he really is. But yeah, and they also did sign Travis Dye as a UDFA. So there's a name to look out for as well. And Zach Kuntz in the 7th round.
Okay.
Yeah, look,
The least
I'm
improved.
confident that he'll be the backup next season and beyond. But
Yeah.
I just look at it a little bit and think it's going to be a bit of a Niners backfield where you kind of just don't really want any of them apart from the main guy.
You
Yeah.
could be right, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Mike, who are you going to give us a eulogy for?
Yeah, so Cortland Sutton, rumors are that Denver's been shopping him. Jerry Jeudy did just sign his 5th-year option. Marvin Mims drafted in the 2nd round. I'm a big Marvin Mims guy. When he got drafted, they showed some of his highlight reel catches and just the way that he can go up, his body control, the way he can high point a ball in the air, contort his body, just grab it out of the air one-handed. I love Marvin Mims. I'm hoping that Russell Wilson with Sean Payton is much better than Russell Wilson with Nathaniel Hackett. And, part of the problem, too, was Hackett didn't come in and really seize control of that locker room. Russell Wilson was allowed to have his personal coach in there. And I understand that as a first-year coach, you don't want to make too many waves, but you have to come in and say, this is my show. All right? So Sean Payton already was like, nope, that's out of here. Sean Payton has the clout in the NFL where he can do that. But I do think that Marvin Mims, paired with Jerry Jeudy, paired with Greg Dulcich, oh, look out, Adam Troutman still lives. He got traded to Denver, too. I do think that room is looking up. Hopefully Javonte Williams comes back soon. I don't know what they're going to do at running back otherwise. But yeah, Marvin Mims, stock up. Cortland Sutton, stock down. He could be like a training camp move. Somebody gets hurt. We see it every year. I'm also, just real quick, I want to say I'm surprised that there wasn't more player movement during the draft. There was 2 moves, DeAndre Swift to the Eagles, which I love, of course. And then just Adam Troutman, that's it. I was hoping just for some more exciting things. I was hoping Dalvin Cook would get moved or maybe a few other people, and I was let down. So shame on you, NFL, for letting me down for that.
Well, I mean, not necessarily during the draft, but big news today. Randall Cobb, guys, signed with the Jets.
Oh,
Mind blown.
Circus in New York.
That is 100% a circus over there. Yeah, we didn't even talk about that. That's insane. Tyler, who are we having a funeral for?
He was kind of in the hospital before, since he kind of put someone in the hospital, but Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
And now at this point, they signed Jamal Williams in the offseason. That was a move, 1, because they needed a backup, 2, because they were preparing for a suspension. Then they went out on draft day and spent day 2 capital on Kendra Miller, who was my RB3 before the draft. And they're ready to go into the season with Jamal Williams and Kendra Miller once Kamara is suspended. And who knows what happens beyond this year. They can actually save some money against the cap. It's not a lot next year, but for anyone to be able to be cut by the Saints and actually save them money is like a miracle. So that could very possibly happen. I think Saints are very comfortable going into the season and beyond with Jamal Williams, who's an all-around back and can catch the ball well, and Kendra Miller, who's also an all-around back and can bang between the tackles well. So rest in peace, Alvin Kamara. But get that Kendra Miller stock while you can, while people think it's still down.
I'm a big fan of that. I actually just, when we did our best ball show the other day, last night rather, I took Jamal Williams and Kendrick Miller in that draft. I thought it was a lot of fun. Did you forget about Eno Benjamin is also in their depth chart?
I did.
Yeah,
actually.
Me too. I just looked up. I was like, who else do they have back there? Eno Benjamin and Dwayne Washington. I would have never guessed.
You're talking about the Saints, right? That is
the Saints. Isn't that wild?
Gross.
Yeah, it's super gross.
There is a worse one out there, though. I think the Rams one. The Rams backfield is the worst. Cam Akers, who they don't want. Kyron Williams, who's just whatever. They drafted Zach Evans, then Ronnie Rivers from Fresno State, and Tyon Evans from Louisville, who actually got some buzz in the draft process. So just gross. And all of their special teams players are rookies too, which is amazing.
Are they really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that.
Punter,
Wow.
kicker, long snapper, holder, kickoff specialist, and kick and punt returner. Everybody's a rookie.
Oh my
I did a
Amazing
bit,
games.
Mike. I did a bit a few weeks ago where I read off all of the starters' names in the Rams' defensive secondary, and I made up one name. No one got it right.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only guy I know is Jordan Fuller. That's it. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god. But I'll tell you what about the Jets too. They're spending a lot of money to go 9-8, man. It's going to be rough up there in New York.
I have so much Garrett Wilson, and I just know that I'm going to be throwing my phone at the screen every time it goes to Lazard or Cobb or something. It's just going to just make me absolutely insane. So Lincoln wants to know who would be worth more, Dalton Kincaid or Zay Flowers with a 1.5 tight end premium. Looks like 2.5 per catch for tight end. Bill, you're a big Dalton Kincaid fan now, right?
Now I am, yeah. But tight end premium in that offense with that draft capital, give me Dalton Kincaid.
Oh, yeah, that's easy. Dalton Kincaid. Even if it wasn't tight end premium, I'd probably still want Dalton Kincaid, to be completely honest with you. I love Dalton Kincaid. He's been my tight end one throughout the duration of the process. Yeah, sign me up. Give me all the Dalton Kincaid. But hey, guess what? I am the tight end whisperer. So if you need tight end advice, DM me. I love them. I scouted more tight ends than anybody in our whole crew this year. So,
well, you're about to make good on that, because guys, next I want to talk about, we just buried some people. So cue that Undertaker gif. Who has been resurrected? Who is ADP, their fantasy value has just skyrocketed based on their landing spot? You got a special tight end for us, Mike. Who is it?
So I'm going to say it the Pennsylvania way. I know it's Luke Schoonmaker, but we say Schoonmaker out here in Pennsylvania because of all the Dutch out here. Tight end, formerly of Michigan. And you know what? I've gotten better with not hating scouting opposing Big Ten teams players. But Schoonmaker, man, look, I'm going to be honest with you. He wasn't a guy that we were planning on scouting. And he wasn't a guy that we were going to put in our rookie guide. But then he got drafted in the second round. And we're like, all right, well, we need to scout this guy real quick. So I found some cut-ups on YouTube and I put it on. And I'm like, he's legit. And I mean that. And I'm not just saying that because he got good draft capital, because Brenton Strange was also drafted in the second round. I'm still not a big Brenton Strange guy, even though he went to Penn State. But let me tell you about Luke Schoonmaker quick. Big, athletic. He can move. He can play inline. He can play split. He can play out wide. And for some reason, they do not cover him in the middle of the field. They're like, we're going to make this guy beat us. And he's like, bet, I guess is what the kids would say, right? And he does. He gets open easily, physical after the catch. The Dallas Cowboys, as much as I hate to say it, did a really good job drafting Schoonmaker where they did. They didn't reach, and they filled the need at the same time. He is currently behind Jake Ferguson. He is a much more dynamic prospect than Jake Ferguson was, and I love Jake Ferguson. I think he's very physical. And there's also Peyton Hendershot there, who's a UDFA. I think Schoonmaker, sooner rather than later, can be the guy in Dallas. The Dallas Cowboys offense looks better when they have a productive tight end. By the way, buy Dalton Schultz cheap. Nobody wants Houston offensive skill set players aside CJ Stroud and Dameon Pierce. Their wide end room their wide receiver room is garbage. Get Dalton Schultz cheap, just as a throw in on trades. People will probably gladly just give them to you. And you know what? Going back to it above, RIP Brevin Jordan. He's probably done now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Dak does love to throw to tight ends, so I have no issue with this pick. I know our dear friend Stephanie Miller was dying when they took him. But
I love the pick. And you saw it's much like the Eagles offense last year when Goddard was out. There was just a huge question mark what they're going to do at tight end. I feel like the Dallas Cowboys was the same way. It was just, let's ride the hot hand. Now they have a guy that could be the hot hand every single week. Get Luke Schoonmaker. He's going really late in rookie drafts. Every one I've seen, he's in the 4th round. There's a guy in an IDP league. He was drafting Luke Schoonmaker in the 6th round.
Wow.
Go
okay.
get him.
All right. So put him on your list if he's not already. Tyler, who's back from the dead for you?
All right. So someone a lot of people might not have even heard of before the draft or just before this process, but Michael Wilson, wide receiver, Stanford, now wide receiver, Arizona Cardinals. He had a really, really good draft process. You know, he got injured. He loves being injured. That's one of the biggest knocks on him. 3 years he's played 14.
He probably doesn't love it, to be fair.
There's no way he doesn't love it. He's played like 4, 4, and 6 games in the last 3 years. So that's a huge question mark. Can he stay on the field? He's not the fastest guy, 4.58 40, but he's explosive. He's quicker than fast. He had a 37.5-inch vert, 10'5" broad. He actually had one heck of a 3-cone time, 6.81, which would have been the second best at the combine behind only Jackson Smith and Jigba. So this guy who, if he can stay on the field, he can get open, he can run routes, he can be explosive, especially on a team where, everyone's just waiting for DeAndre Hopkins to be traded. Marquise Brown is in his 5th year. I doubt that he is going to want to return to that dumpster fire. So, if Michael Wilson can carve out a role for himself, he has a real shot to be a productive fantasy football player for you. And he's ADP right now is 240 on DLF. So he's basically free. And I know I'm about to take him with the last pick in the 3rd round in a rookie draft, and no one's going to touch him.
Michael Wilson. I know we talked about him on the show a while ago. I think Bill broke him down a lot. So I remember talking about that guy. So Bill, who's your guy?
So for me, it's Tank Dell. Not often you get a wide receiver the same height as me that you can talk about in glowing light. But Tank Dell was one of them. He got nice. He got 3rd round draft capital. Went 69th overall. Nice. He went to Houston, and apparently CJ Stroud petitioned for him. Apparently they built a connection up at the combine. He's a guy that CJ Stroud wanted in Houston, and they went and got the new quarterback, his guy. Who, like Mike was saying, who's going to take targets? That wide receiver room is trash. So Schultz is a tight end. He's probably going to be the safety blanket. Who else is there? If there's a guy that Stroud already has a connection with, like I said, he not demanded, but he asked the front office to go and get him, Tank Dell, you'd expect him to make use of him. I think Tank Dell's a guy that could quite quickly become the number 1 target for CJ Stroud in Houston, at least this season. And he's a guy that, with the landing spot, with the draft capital, with the news that came out that Stroud wanted him, he's a guy that I'm now starting to target in rookie drafts.
Yeah, I mean, he's so fast, and just all the things that you just mentioned. I am a big Tank Dell fan. He's a fun player, and I mean, there's really Nico Collins. I mean, there's nobody else there in Houston. So
there's John Mechie. I'm trying to buy John Mechie as cheap as possible everywhere I can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's practicing again. He's back, so that's a really nice thing to see.
I'm glad he's back, honestly.
Yeah, 100%.
So actually that brings up a good question, and I know we didn't prepare for this, but I'm going to ask it anyway, Mike. Yeah. If John Mechie was in your rookie draft right now, where would you be taking him?
Oh, that is a really good question. Do you mind if I have just a moment and bring up my latest mock that I did so I could tell you exactly where I would take him? And of course. For context, are you talking Superflex or 1 quarterback?
Superflex.
Yeah. Play it the way the big boys do, right?
Stacy, didn't you have a guy that you wanted to talk about?
I do have somebody I want to talk about. So I'm going to say his name right, finally. Devon A-Chain, guys. Yes. Right? I love this player. I wasn't like super down on him before. I just didn't, he wasn't nearly as high as a lot of other people, right? Holy cow. I mean, I think this is probably the best landing spot out of anybody the entire draft. Day 2, 3rd round, 84th overall pick, goes to Miami. They're the fastest offense without a doubt in the league. I mean, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Now you've got A-Chain. Don't forget, Mostert's pretty quick too when he's not hurt. So this is unbelievable. And apparently Mike McDaniels was just like freaking out over A-Chain. So I can't wait to see what kind of like creative like ways he works him in there in the offense. Their backfield does have a lot of injury history, right? With Mostert, Wilson. They've also got Salvon Ahmed back there and Myles Gaskin. There's definitely a path for him to be fantasy relevant, 100%. I just cannot wait. I don't think he could have landed on a better team. Miami absolutely nailed it with this pick, and I am so pumped. I was already excited to watch him on Sundays, but man, I cannot wait to watch him in Miami.
Are you a Dolphins fan, Stacy?
I am not. I'm a Packer fan, actually.
Okay.
They're testing my patience this year. But I get a bunch of Dolphin games because I live in Tampa, so we get about those in the Bucks and Jacksonville every once in a while. So they're on the local channels a lot. So I do get to see quite my fill of Dolphin games. But man, I can't. It's finally it's exciting now. The last couple of years they've been building it up. They haven't been as awful as they've been. So they're a pleasure to watch.
Tyler, I do have an answer to your question. However, so in this mock draft, the third round is probably where I'd be targeting him. The 3-1 was Roshan Johnson. The 3-2 is Cedric Tillman. The 3-3 was Chase Brown. And at the 3-4 is Keishon Butte. I would take him out and slide John Mechie right in there, which I think, if I remember correctly, when he came out, he was like a second round, like late second, early third type guy. I got a lot of him in places that I could, obviously. And I'll take him over guys in the third round like Jalen Hyatt, who to me is kind of a one-trick pony. Hendon Hooker, I'm okay missing out on Hendon Hooker. He could be this year's Matt Corral for all we know. Israel Abonaconda, you're talking about a guy like Bill. You're talking about a guy you're paying for a backup, or you could pay for a guy who'd be a starting quality wide receiver at that point. Darnell Washington, Zach Evans, Dwayne McBride, who I love, Brenton Strange, and then Michael Wilson. Sorry, Tyler, to shit on your guy a little bit there. But the fact of the matter is, when we were scouting this prospect, there were two guys in last year's draft class that were kind of afterthoughts because their teammates were so good, and it's Chris Olave and John Mechie. And we all see now that these guys shouldn't have been afterthoughts. Chris Olave, in his own right, fantastic wide receiver, overshadowed by Garrett Wilson. I can't talk tonight. And then we have John Mechie, who I liked as well, overshadowed by Jamison Williams. So these guys were not consolation prizes, but I just soaked up the value because of the depressed ADP because their teammates were so good. So I love John Mechie. Happy he's healthy. Happy he's back. You can get him for kind of cheap right now too. I've been trying to scoop him up wherever I could. Some people bite, some people don't. Like I just traded for Sky Moore, which is a thing that's not like me. My whole thought is this: I'm not a Rashee Rice guy. I'm not a Kadarius Toney guy. Sky Moore, second year in Andy Reid's offense. I paid the 2.8 for him, which is in this draft where Rashee Rice went, honestly. So I'm fine with giving it up. And in that league, I have a bunch of other second round picks too. So that's one thing I tell people. Try to get sophomore wide receivers that people have forgotten about because of the fresh new class that comes in. Sometimes successful. Let's see what Sky Moore does for me.
I got to tell you, Mike, you're preaching to the choir on Sky Moore because I love Sky Moore. I took him last year in my Dynasty team. Obviously,
I actually don't like him.
You don't like him? Why don't you? Come on now.
Here's the thing. Just because I don't like him, if I think he's going to have opportunities and score fantasy points, I want him on my roster. And if that turns into me flipping him for a guy that I like better that's also scoring me points, then I'll do that. But if he helps me win a championship, I love him. I don't care. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. You can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. You have to try to vary things. I call it diversifying your fantasy portfolio. There was a time where I had too many guys on too many of the same teams, too many of the same people, and all it did was just make my fantasy experience suck.
It's miserable. Yeah.
My first Sky Moore share. Yay for me.
All right. Well, that's good enough for me. I'll take that. All right, guys. So last but not least, we're going to play a little name game here tonight. So I'm going to say the name of a current player and let you know where they're being drafted at. And thanks to Tyler for giving me that info. And then I'm going to ask you guys some names of some rookies. And I want you to tell me, who would you prefer? Would you rather prefer the current player or the new rookie? All right. So let's kick it off with our running backs. And I'm going to go Mike, Bill, Tyler. in that order. So Josh Jacobs is our first guy. He is currently RB9, going about the 48th and a half pick or so. Mike, would you rather have Josh Jacobs or Bijan?
Josh Jacobs. Here's why. He's running back 9. What you're going to pay for Bijan Robinson, who's never stepped foot on an NFL field. Now, here's one way you could do this. You could take Bijan Robinson in the first round, or you could take Jamar Chase and pair him with Josh Jacobs, or you could take a generational talent who's never played NFL football before and pair him with a lesser talent. Give me the proven talent now. I'm going to fill out the rest of my roster. I'm going to win a championship. I did that last year in a Superflex startup. I punted on quarterback. We're starting quarterbacks in the championship with Jared Goff and Geno Smith, but I had Jamar Chase, and I had just like Jamar Chase and Devontae Adams were my first 2 draft picks. Sign me up for that, because you could probably get Josh Jacobs in like the 3rd or 4th round of a startup. You could just draft studs ahead of him. So I'm going to do that. It may not be the popular opinion, but that's how I build dynasty rosters.
That is okay. So with that being said, let me ask Bill. Bill, do you have a different opinion? Would you rather have Bijan or Josh Jacobs?
Yeah, I'll take Bijan Robinson. I know you've got to pay a little bit more for him, but he's the hot name. You might take him as the RB1. You want to flip him, you're going to go and get value on that straight away. You're going to go make a profit even if you flip him straight off the bat. I also expect him to score me a hell of a lot of fantasy points over at least the next 4 years. So yeah, and also I'm not that big on Josh Jacobs. Like, he had a great year last year. Is he going to reproduce that? If he doesn't, where's he going to go next year? I'll take Bijan.
Well, I feel the same about Josh Jacobs. I've never been a big Josh Jacobs fan, so I think I'd probably take Bijan too. Tyler, you're going to be our tiebreaker.
So I am a big Josh Jacobs fan, and I always have been. However, I hear what you're saying, Mike. I totally get the value prospect of it. But when I can take a 21-year-old guy who's going to be, he's going to be a top 10 running back. I know if he's on the field. We can say he never stepped foot on an NFL field all we want, but he's the best prospect I've seen since Saquon. So I feel really good about Bijan being successful. As much as I do love Josh Jacobs, and all of his efficiency numbers say he's awesome, but I will take Bijan, and then I will build my roster around him. I'll take him in the first. That's fine. I don't love it, but I will take him there, and I will just draft stud wide receivers behind him.
I don't hate the process either way, to be honest with you. And I'm not expecting Josh Jacobs. He was running back 3 last year in a PPR format. And ahead of him was Austin Eckler, who we don't even know if he's going to play this year because he might hold out. Christian McCaffrey's range is running back 1 to running back 40, just because of how he plays the game. And then Derrick Henry, Saquon, Nick Chubb, Ramondre Stevenson. I don't see him being running back 7 again. Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette's out of there. Yeah. But I don't hate either way. It's just that's the way I do it. I'm just kind of devaluing a position that's, where the fact is, if he misses a blocking assignment, Bijan that is, all of a sudden Tyler Algier gets more carries than him one game. You know what I mean? I understand that he's a generational talent, and I get it. And I love Bijan. I'm not crapping on Bijan Robinson. Don't think about that. This is just a different way to look at building your roster. Because here's the thing. If there's 4 people sitting here saying, I'm taking Bijan Robinson, then what do you do if you can't get Bijan Robinson? So that's why I'm saying, I can't get him because Stacy, Tyler, and Bill are. So here's what I'm going to do instead, and you could still be successful. Last year, I want to say this. I did a video because people were bugging me. Here's how you build a team around Jalen Hurts. And people were like, you're an idiot. He's not going to do anything. We went to the freaking Super Bowl. And if that team would have been a real team, it would have won the championship.
I think you definitely won the lottery with Jalen Hurts there for sure. All right. So I've got 3 more running backs that I want to ask you guys about in regards to Josh Jacobs. Then we'll move on to the receivers. But how about Jahmyr Gibbs? That's a pretty sweet landing spot he's in. Mike, what do you think? You still taking Josh Jacobs?
Yeah, Josh Jacobs. So this ADP that you have on here, this is startup ADP, running back 9, 48.5, right?
Yep, pulled it off at DLF a few hours ago.
Yeah. So in this case, Jahmyr Gibbs is a little bit closer to Josh Jacobs. I'm a big value guy. I might go Jahmyr Gibbs there. That's probably an area of the draft that I look to make a lot of moves in and move future draft capital, like rookie draft picks or picks later on down the draft. And this is the area where I try to get as many picks as possible because there's always good running back and wide receiver value there and tight end value there too. So in this circumstance, I'd probably go Jahmyr Gibbs with the slightly lower ADP.
Okay. All right. Bill, what do you think, Jahmyr Gibbs?
In a heartbeat. I'm a massive Gibbs fan. I was, before the draft, I had him in the same tier as Bijan Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
PPR leagues, you want the guy that's going to catch passes out the backfield. There's a chance that with the Jameson Williams suspension, Amon Ra St. Brown plays a little bit more on the outside than in the slot, which he did towards the back end of last season. Who's the slot receiver there? Does Jamar Gibbs become the guy that they part in the short passing game? And if that's the case, that's an absolute smash at RB11. I'm a big fan anyway, and if I'm getting Jamar Gibbs at better value than Josh Jacobs, all day long.
Yeah, we didn't need to push you to take Jahmyr Gibbs. There, not at all. Tyler?
This one I'm going to go with Jacobs on. It's a spot and a half difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's RB9 versus the RB11. It is value. You are getting value with Jahmyr Gibbs, but it's negligible to me. And, Bill mentioned you want the guy who's going to catch passes out of the backfield. Josh Jacobs caught 53 balls last year. Like that, he is everything in that offense, and he's going to continue to be everything in that offense. So if I can get them at the same approximate value, and I don't have to worry about David Montgomery taking goal line carries and taking early down work, and I know I'm going to get a workhorse, and I can build my team around that, I'll go Jacobs.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to combine our last two because I want to move us on to the receivers. We got a lot more fun guys to talk about. But would you take either Roschon Johnson or Kendre Miller in their landing spots now where they're at over Josh Jacobs? Mike?
No. And this is Roschon Johnson. His path to relevance is two people in front of him have to be hurt or traded.
Mm-hmm.
And Kendre Miller, we think he's going to be productive earlier on in the season. We don't know. It's a big question mark because we think Kamara's going to get suspended. Again, we don't know. We know Josh Jacobs is going to be the starting running back for the Raiders. Look at the Raiders depth chart. It's disgusting. Amir Abdullah is the direct backup behind Josh Jacobs, which is so gross. Give me Josh Jacobs over the both. Kendre Miller long-term, Roschon Johnson. I'll just draft somebody else. I'm good.
It is pretty ugly in Las Vegas. Just the offense wise. Jimmy G and Michael Mayer are making it a little bit prettier of a locker room over there for them. But Bill, what do you think? Roschon, Kendre, does that have any that do it for you with Josh Jacobs or no?
No, I agree with Mike 100%. Roschon Johnson, not that bothered. If I can get him at a good price or pick him up late, then yeah. But you're talking about a guy like Josh Jacobs, who you start and go, I'm going to get an RB1 for the season, maybe two. So yeah, give me Josh Jacobs over those two quite easily.
Tyler, any difference of opinion there?
I'm in the business of winning games, so I'm going to go ahead and take Josh Jacobs. But I would be remiss if I didn't take the chance to mention my guy, Khalil Herbert. It seems a lot of people think Roschon Johnson's going to come in and take a lot of work because he was Bijan Robinson's backup at Texas, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. And Khalil Herbert, the only person who was better on a per touch basis last year at running back than Khalil Herbert was Tony Pollard. So Khalil Herbert's that is his job to lose, and I don't see him losing it.
I think Roschon Johnson's more of a threat to D'Onta Foreman than Khalil Herbert, personally.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, so we're going to move on to our receivers, and I picked our current receiver. We've got Mr. Jahan Dotson. Bill, you say his name in a much more fun way than I do. How do you say his name?
Jahan Dotson.
Jahan Dotson. So Jorge should be excited. We're talking about one of his Commanders players. Would you take Jahan Dotson over Quentin Johnston? Mike?
No. Yes. Wait. Hold on. Yes, I would. Sorry. I would take Jahan Dotson, who grew up in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, 20 minutes away from where I live. I would gladly take him over Quentin Johnston. He's a much more dynamic, well-rounded player than Quentin Johnston is. And I think he's going to be force-fed the ball by Sam Howell. He's going to get you more fantasy points this year than Quentin Johnston might the first 2 to 3 years of his career, just being completely honest. Did you, Stacy, if we're pressed for time, because I know that you have another show coming up on this fantastic channel, do you want me to just go through all of them? We could just do
let's do that.
See, look at that.
Let's do
That's
that.
what happens when you have a host come in and be a guest here. So the other options here are Jordan Addison, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Zay Flowers. I would take Jahan Dotson over all of these guys except for Jordan Addison. I think Jordan Addison is going to have a fantastic role with the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins is not a sexy quarterback, but he gets it done. JSN is going to be fine. Geno Smith can support 2 wide receivers, not 3. So he's going to be fine in a few years. And Zay Flowers, we don't know what the Baltimore Ravens offense is going to look like. Todd Mungren or whatever came in from Georgia. Supposedly he's going to open things up. I don't know how to say his name. I'm from Eastern Pennsylvania. I can barely talk. But until I see it, I haven't seen anything. And he's small. He's going to be a slot guy. Mark Andrews is the guy I want in the Baltimore Ravens receiving offense.
Yeah, I mean he's pretty much the only one that I want in that offense. Bill, any of those 4 guys, Johnston, Addison, JSN, Flowers, are you taking any of them over Jahan Dotson?
Nah, I love Dotson. I really wanted him in Buffalo last year. He was one of my crushes in the draft, and he didn't do anything last season to get me off that. So Quentin Johnson, I'm not a believer particularly. Jordan Addison, I love the landing spot. Bit too small for me. JSN, love the player, don't love the landing spot. And Zay Flowers, any wide receiver in Baltimore, I'm just not that interested in. Give me Dotson. They got BNME. They got a newish quarterback. Let's see how that pans out. I'll happily take the former Penn State man.
And just for context, everybody, Jahan Dotson is going as wide receiver 30 right now. Tyler. Oh, I'm sorry.
Criminal.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm a big Dotson fan. Tyler, any of those guys, you want them over Dotson?
Jordan Addison for all the reasons that Mike said.
Yeah, I definitely am a Jordan Addison fan. I mean, somebody's got to take those targets that Thielen got. And I think it was 100 something targets that he's leaving up in the air that they're going to have to distribute. So
Thielen's a good buy right now too. In Carolina with a young quarterback, he could be a safety blanket. He's really cheap right now too.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I know he's a little bit old, but man, I still think he's got a little bit left in him.
That's ageism, Stacy. I'm almost 40 years old. It's hurting.
Oh my gosh, your AARP card's in the mail for sure.
He's actually downstairs right now. My wife.
We better get you to bed here pretty soon then. All right, guys. So our tight ends. The guy that I pick currently, George Kittle, tight end 5, going around the 70.25 pick. I've got Michael Mayer, Dalton Kincaid, Luke Schoonmaker. How did you say it? Schumacher? Is that
I'm
how you
say
say it?
Schumacher?
Schumacher.
That's probably wrong.
I thought it was Schoon.
Who knows? The guy from Dallas. Dallas's new tight end.
Give me fantasy points. This is easy. I am taking every single one of those tight ends over George Kittle. And I understand that I say I want fantasy points now, but George Kittle is extremely inconsistent. He's injury prone, great blocker, hasn't cracked 1,000 yards since 2019, did come close in 2021. He's pushing 30, and I don't know who's starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers.
They don't.
I don't know. And also leave Trey Lance alone with the receding hairline. My hair is starting to lose it too. Of course, that happened when I got married. But look, the fact of the matter is Mayer's in a great spot. Kincaid's in a great spot. Schoonmaker's in a great spot. And Sam Laporta's in a good spot too. These guys are all younger. They're super athletic and they all have fantastic hands and they're all physical after the catch. And the best part about it is they're all cheaper right now than George Kittle. I want them all. Sorry, Kittle. It's been real. It's been fun. It has not been a combination of both. I'm taking all those other guys.
You can still watch him when he guest stars on the WWE, so you can get your Kittle fix then if you need to.
I don't watch that. I'm sorry. I'm sure Jorge watches that, or he watches Star Trek with the Wookiees and all that stuff. I don't know. I don't watch this stuff either. So I don't know.
I'm offended.
You get old.
Sorry.
Bill, I know there's definitely at least one of these tight ends, probably more. What do you think?
I'm taking all of them apart from the Dallas tight end. He's all right. I'm not overly sold on him. I think Brandon Cook's come in for a reason. I just give me the proven asset in George Kittle for a year or two over Schoonmaker, whatever you want to call him. But I love the value of Sam Laporta, tight end 17, going 171st, 172nd ish overall. He was my tight end one. I think he's going to be a really, really good asset in Dynasty. So yes, I love the value of Sam Laporta, but I'm taking Maya, Kincaid, and Laporta all over George Kittle.
All right, Tyler, let's hit it. Who you got?
For tight ends, I'm taking all of them too. The value is too good. I mean, Kittle's at tight end 5 and Dalton Kincaid is at tight end 7 right now, but you can get Dalton Kincaid a full 3 rounds later than George Kittle. You're getting Michael Mayer 30 picks later than Dalton Kincaid, and you're getting Sam Laporta 40 picks later than Michael Mayer, and Schoonmaker's free. When you have a onesie position like that, I know it's nice to have a guy that you can just plug in every week and set it and forget it, but you can do a lot of work at the tight end position and you can make your roster much better than spending a 5th round pick on George Kittle.
Oh yeah, sign me up for all of these guys. Big fans of all 4 of those that group. And the guy from Dallas is growing on me a little bit. All right, last but not least, quarterback position. I picked Trevor Lawrence, the Disney Prince himself, QB7, going around 7.5. Oh, come on. Does he not look like a Disney Prince? He absolutely does. Right? Hair. I've got hair envy with that man. But anyway, so I just picked our top 3 QBs because really I don't think anybody else is even close. So Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson. Mike, are you taking any of these guys before T-Law?
I'm not. And this is one of those things where if I'm trying to win, I want a more established quarterback. And I especially want a quarterback playing with Doug Peterson. Well, not playing with him, but being coached by Doug Peterson. Just like I'm really excited for Sam Howell being coached by Eric Bieniemy in Washington. Bryce Young's fine. I'm a size queen, so I like my quarterbacks a little bit bigger. CJ Stroud can't read, apparently, according to the NFL draft. Leave the guy alone. You know what I mean? They're like, he didn't go to the Manning Academy. He was a late invite. He was practicing with his teammates. And guess what? CJ Stroud doesn't owe Peyton or Eli Manning a damn thing. Okay? I don't want to hear their NFL royalty.
Fuck those guys.
They've won less Super Bowls than Tom Brady. Okay, Bill, you could be an American. That's what I love about you. And Anthony Richardson, I love the spot with Shane Steichen. I think he's going to get great coaching if you look what Steichen did with Jalen Hurts. But huge question marks. He's really raw, really inconsistent. I want to win now. I want Trevor Lawrence.
Bill, you and I are going to fight later over that Manning comment. I
got your back, Bill. I got you.
Man, might take you down. Listen, look, I like Trevor Lawrence. I'm definitely taking him over the midget. I'm definitely taking him over the idiot. I don't know if I'm going to take him over the athlete, though. I'm shooting for upside, QB 15, QB 7.5, QB 8, QB 7, Trevor Lawrence. I might take Anthony Richardson. I might. If I can guarantee I get him at the 26th pick or as QB 15, then I might take him. But I got a feeling he's not going to be staying there for much longer. So, sod it. Yeah, I'll take Anthony Richardson at that value over Trevor Lawrence, but definitely not the other 2.
All right, Tyler, thoughts?
I can barely hold it together. The CJ Stroud dumb jokes are never going to get old for me. They're my favorite part of this process.
Did you see the meme where it's like the kid sweating and it's like CJ Stroud when the defense shows him a math test?
Yeah, I saw the one where they photoshopped in like a Cat in the Hat book as like the playbook.
And it's Floyd Mayweather, CJ Stroud reading the Houston Texans playbook. Oh my God, it was fantastic.
Poor CJ Stroud.
So anyway, Duval, give me Trevor Lawrence, baby. Hey, give me that winner. He is one of the top guys that I want in Dynasty. I don't care what I have to pay.
I think I would have gone with one of the other guys had it been right after his first year, and if he was still with Urban Meyer and that just complete absolute shit show down there. But now that he's got, you know, an adult in the room and he's like, everything is just so much better now. I think I've definitely taken T-Law over those guys for sure. So Mike, thank you so much for being here tonight. Tell everybody where they can find you and all of your content.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Rewind CEO. You could follow the show at Dynasty Rewind. Our podcast is available everywhere except for iHeartRadio, because I'm still waiting for that confirmation email. Or you can check out our YouTube, youtube.com. Just search Dynasty Rewind. I don't know the exact thing. It said, tell us what you're working on between now and the draft. Well, the draft is over. We do have a 2023 rookie draft guide available, 74 pages of content, over 50 prospects scouted, our guys, all that stuff. Payhip.com/Dynasty Rewind. Get your hands on it now. It is beautiful, colorful, and vibrant.
Amazing, guys. So coming up tonight, if you're already on here watching our show, make sure to stay on, because we've got the Fourth and Frames guys coming on up right after us. We got Shoot the Gap tomorrow. We're also doing a Best Ball Mania 4 show this week on Sunday with Stephanie Miller and I. And it's also her birthday. She wants to do shots. So everybody come on out. We can draft and drink and draft. I mean, how much more fun can it be, right? So make sure to follow us on Twitter. You can find Tyler over at FF Tyler Heil. You can find Bill at Bill Mustafa, or Bill _ Mustafa. You can find me at Stacy _ Perez 83. Follow our show at Dynasty 365 Show, fantasyandframes.com. Subscribe to the pod on YouTube. Thank you all so much for listening, and have a good night.